Alright, so this is JStar360 here with a Powerpuff Girls episode for you, which involves my phone. Do you hear that? Someone's calling. I better go check it out. Hello? Yes, this is the man of the house. Is my refrigerator running? Yep, I think it is. You're right, I better go catch it! Just kidding. Okay, this is Telephonies. This is the episode where we see the Green Gang. Yeah, I forget. The Green Gang. I'm just gonna call them that. I forget what their real name is. But anyway, they are doing prank calls, which is like the most pathetic crime big-time criminals can do. And apparently they realize it because they realize we need to do something bigger. Because this is not something the Powerpuff Girls would... This is not a crime worth the Powerpuff Girls' time. So they decide to pull an even bigger prank call. They pull a prank call on the mayor to get him out of the mayor's office for a while. And then they do a bunch of prank calls on the Powerpuff Girls with one of the guys pretending to be the mayor. And I love how that comes back, by the way, the voice. Because someone in the comments mentioned, why didn't you talk about that one green guy, I forget his name, doing the prank calls of impersonating Bubbles? Like, I really didn't find it that funny. I mean, it's weird. I should find it funny because he does a bad Bubbles impersonation. And the girls believe it. But this is an awesome payoff because last time he did it, it was like he did a terrible Bubbles impersonation. And now all of a sudden he can do like dead-on impressions. It's great. So anyway, so he uses his mayor's voice to get... First to trick the mayor. First he uses his voice to impersonate Miss Bellum to get the mayor to cut a ribbon on the other side of town. And then, as to why the mayor doesn't drive there, I have no clue. And then he uses it to call the Powerpuff Girls and keeps telling them villains are up to no good when really they're not, so the Powerpuff Girls will just go beat the shit out of them. But eventually, they call the mayor to do something which is kind of amusing. And then the most retarded of the Green Gang answers it, pretty much confesses to the entire thing, and then Mojo Jojo, him, and Fuzzy Lumpkins all go and beat up the Green Gang. And the Powerpuff Girls do absolutely nothing, which is great. So, in case you can't tell, I really like this episode. This was a really funny villain episode. I call it that because it's one of those episodes where the Powerpuff Girls are in it, but it's not necessarily about them, and I really like how they're doing that. It's weird that they're doing it this early on, because this is like something I'd expect them to do later down the road. Like, you know how Adventure Time, like, it wasn't until like season 2 or 3 when we started doing the episodes where Finn and Jake would barely be in the episode. This is that. But it was just so funny. Because, first off, to start off, I was really curious. I thought, oh no, the Green Gang is back. I really wasn't too big of a fan of Buttercrush. These guys aren't really threatening. How are you going to make this episode entertaining? You're doing prank calls, okay, whatever. But it got so funny. First off, you know, as I mentioned before, the one guy impersonating stuff. The fact that the girls keep beating up villains and then they are like, oh shit, he wasn't really up to anything. So there's a lot. But there was also some really good ethics in here. That while the villains are villains, they are still citizens and they still have rights. They still can peacefully coexist because... And they aren't always evil. Like, they do have lives. Like, Fuzzy Lumpkins chills out. Mojo Jojo takes naps and reads the paper. And him exercises, which is great. So yeah, it was a nice way to humanize the villains and show that, yeah, they're evil, but there's a bit more to them. They have a bit more lives. I'd like to see more of that. Like, maybe give one of the villains, like, a surprisingly tragic backstory to give us more sympathetic. Kind of like... Minor Adventure Time spoilers, like the Ice King on Adventure Time, but we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it was nice to do that. Also, one thing I've always been wondering is, if the Powerpuff Girls know where all the bad guys' lairs are, why don't they just... Why the bad guys have their lairs right where the Powerpuff Girls know where they are? That's kind of dangerous, kind of a safety issues, but this episode, I think, kind of addresses it. But yes, there are lairs there, but... The Powerpuff Girls, they're not going to go and beat up the villains just because. They need a reason. The villains need to be up to something. And I do like that. I also love how the Powerpuff Girls don't do much and how they don't even get involved in the problem the villains wind up solving, being up the Green Gang. I thought that was great how the Powerpuff Girls don't get involved. They just sleep in their bed. I love how at the end they don't believe the mayor and how when he calls again they just destroy the phone. That was just great. Like they're fuck it, we're done. And lastly, the professor being on the phone the entire episode was great, and I love how there's no resolution to it. Like the episode ends and he's still on the phone. That's great. And yeah, I really don't have that much to say. That was a pretty funny episode that really didn't involve the Powerpuff Girls, and I am really looking forward to seeing the next one. And if I forgot to talk anything, please mention that in the comments, because I might have. And if you guys mention in the comments, I'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, really funny episode. Can't wait for the next one. JStars360, signing out. And please don't prank call me.